It's exactly 10 after 8 o'clock. Welcome to News and Views with me, Julie Ali, right here on Salam Media. We're now going to be looking at the Johannesburg mayoral race, which is officially underway as the different parties announce candidates for the upcoming elections. And let's look at the latest fray regarding the mayoral race. And that, of course, is the announcement that Helen Zille from the DA is going to obviously stand for the mayoral candidate for the 2026 municipal elections. What does that mean? And what, if she does, then when can we see better run province? Or is it going to be same old, same old? Hlumelo Xaba is our guest. He's a political analyst and he's going to unpack for us. And of course, this impacts on all of us. So we're all sitting and wondering what's going to be the best for us here in Gauteng province. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program, Hlumelo.
Good morning, Julie, to your viewers, and thank you very much for having me this morning.
Is this a surprise that Helen Zille should be throwing her hat in as well to run this race?
Well, honestly speaking, I don't really think it came as a surprise because you'll remember that the DA has been for quite some time now hinting that Helen Zille may actually throw her hat in the ring. And you may remember that the internal processes of the DA are such that there are interviews that are conducted for each candidate to be endorsed as a mayor. So I think that that process was still underway, but we still saw them gauging the public as to how what they actually think and where they actually are swaying insofar as Helen Zille being mayoral candidate of Johannesburg is concerned. So I really think it didn't come really as a surprise because I also felt as if this is just the DA using its most powerful arsenal to see whether it's going to work for them this time around, because learning from the 2006 experience in Cape Town where Helen Zille won by a very small margin and subsequently the DA got the largest numbers in the Cape Town Council and Helen Zille subsequently became mayor. So I think that they will be learning from that experience where Helen Zille even after that went on to become the premier of the province. So I think having learned from that experience and the achievements thereof, they are now just trying to see whether this is going to work for them. Not also taking away from the fact that Helen Zille is now also quite old in that she is 74 years old, turning 75 next year when it's going to be elections. So I think that all of this combined just shows that the DA is using the oldest and most powerful weapon in its arsenal, hoping that it's going to work for them in the city of Johannesburg. Like I said, also having learned from the experiences of 2006 and Western Cape during the fourth and fifth administration.
Talking about age, obviously, we don't want to get caught up in the whole ageism issue, but it does also indicate that she comes with lots and lots of experience. And when we look at other world leaders, we do know that they all come with years of experience. So I personally don't feel that that would work against her. However, we also know that this is going to be a very tight race. We know that the PA's Kenny Kunene is also a competitor. Who are the other competitors? And do we believe that Helen Zille stands a fighting chance? Or is it a situation of where, she'll just kind of sweep over the rest of the other candidates simply because the DA has now set a track record in the Western Cape of running one of the most successful municipalities?
Well, honestly, I think that other parties haven't really revealed who their mayoral candidates will be. We know that, like you said, the Patriotic Alliance did allude to the fact that Kenny Kunene is going to be the mayoral candidate in Johannesburg. And I think this where this is also going to propel other political parties such as the ANC, even Action SA, and the EFF for that matter, who, by the way, are not really renowned for pronouncing a mayoral candidate before time. But I think Helen Zilla's confirmation of Helen Zilla being mayoral candidate of Johannesburg is actually going to propel other political parties to now see what they have within at their disposal in their parties, and whether or not it will be possible for them to field someone who actually stand against someone like Helen Zille, because like you mentioned also, Helen Zille is obviously experienced, and she has ran, I would say, like you mentioned, the most successful metro in the country in terms of audit outcomes. I mean, even President Ramaphosa, which something that the DA, by the way, has been riding on, did confirm to the fact that the municipalities that are mostly well run in South Africa are those that are controlled by the DA and not those that are controlled by the ANC, which I believe, by the way, is something that the DA is going to use as a campaigning instrument going into the elections next year. So I think using that and also juxtaposing the state of the city of Cape Town and Joburg is something that may work for Helen Zille, but also coupled with her experience having been the premier of the Western Cape, having been the mayor.
Okay, Hlumelo's picture is just frozen. Let's go for our ad break and see if we can reconnect with him.
And stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042-203-1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Gaza needs your support more than ever. Homes have been shattered and families have lost everything. With your support, our teams are delivering clean water tankers, feeding the hungry, and assisting orphans who have no one left. Let us give Gaza whatever help we can. African Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Valley's Motor Spares. We supply motor spares and accessories for all makes and models of motor cars, LDVs, bakkies, trucks, and earth-moving equipment. We deliver on time, every time. Please contact us via WhatsApp on 014-592-0925 or call 014-592-0925 or visit 28 Zenderling Street, Rustenburg. Remember the name, Valley's Motor Spares.
They say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, yet many children go to school hungry because of poverty. Penny Appeal South Africa's Breakfast Club aims to get a warm, hearty meal to underprivileged children so they can spend their day prospering in their schoolwork. Help feed a needy learner for only 5 Rand a day or 150 Rand a month. Or visit our website www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573 to find out how you can donate. Penny Appeal South Africa. Small change, big difference.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa. Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Exactly 8:21 a.m. and we welcome back to the show, Hlumelo Xaba. Thank you for being so very patient. And we are talking about the mayoral candidates for Gauteng province. And we do know that Helen Zille is the hot topic currently. Do you believe she has got what it takes to turn this to turn the city of Johannesburg around, given that we are in a state of absolutely decay and probably even disrepair as it stands at the moment?
Well, the problems that are facing Johannesburg are very multi-layered. It's unlike other metros, for instance, like Mangaung in the Free State or Nelson Mandela Bay in the Eastern Cape, or even I would say Cape Town for that matter. In Johannesburg, there you deal with a whole array of problems, things such as in-migration, which Helen Zille alluded to yesterday in an interview with Newsroom, things such as hijacked buildings, for instance, as well as the infrastructure, dilapidation of roads, even in terms of the water and sanitation infrastructure. We know that at the moment, there's currently a water crisis in Johannesburg. So there are the challenges and the problems facing Johannesburg are very multi-layered, and they need someone with both governance and administrative experience, as well as political experience in knowing how they are going to navigate a way around the current era where we find ourselves in coalition politics. Because something that I believe, which Helen Zille also alluded to in the interview yesterday, is that currently we are in an era whereby coalition politics are becoming a norm, and you need someone who is very experienced insofar as navigating a way around the political, I would say, governance is concerned, in ensuring that politics don't really permeate and spill over to affect service delivery. So given all of these, what I've alluded to now, I do believe that she does have the experience, obviously, like I said, having learned from being mayor in Cape Town, as well as being premier, as well as also being a leader within the Democratic Alliance, and also managing how she led in a coalition in the city of Cape Town following the outcome of the 2006 local government election. However, I do believe that currently what is going to be a challenge going into what might be a challenge for her going into this election is trying to convince those who are part of the broader demographic of Johannesburg, such as areas such as Soweto, Alexandra, and other areas that are on the periphery of the city. I think it might be a bit challenging to try and sway and convince those those citizens who are otherwise voters of the ANC, the EFF, the Patriotic Alliance, etc. Because we do know that many people characterize the DA as being an elitist party that only caters for the middle class, in particular the white middle class, as people would argue they do in Cape Town. So I think that it might be a challenge to actually try and convince those who are from a peripheral demographic to vote for them. Hence, I believe that them having the launch of their mayoral candidate in Soweto was a bit strategic to try and actually portray to those citizens that we are actually with you, and we have not actually rejected you, but we also want to deliver services to you. So I think it was strategic of them to have their launch in Soweto, as opposed to where they would usually have it, such as not the union buildings, in a city center or somewhere within the suburbs.
Let's bring global politics into this discussion as well. And we do know that Nelson Mandela says that South Africa will never be free if Palestine is not free. And in an interview recently on another platform, obviously, Helen Zille was asked about the genocide in Palestine. And she then went on to respond that genocide, and I quote, is a very big word. I don't know if what is happening in Gaza can be called a genocide. What I do know is that Hamas is doing all it can, and listen to this, this is the kicker. What I do know is that Hamas is doing all it can to obliterate the state of Israel. The DA has not internally discussed whether there is a genocide or not in Gaza. And I'm kind of wondering if that is going to hurt her, because the whole world, this is a genocide playing out in front of our eyes. And everybody in this day of technology, everybody knows what is going down in Gaza. And obviously, we support the Palestinian issue. Do you think this is going to hurt her her election stance?
Well, when I listened to that interview, that also came as no surprise to me, because we know that the stance of the DA when it comes to some geopolitical issues such as the Russia-Ukraine war, and in particular what you've just alluded to now, the Gaza and Israel genocide. I mean, just a week ago, a commission, with the independent commission, which within the UN declared that there is a genocide being committed in Gaza. I mean, this is something that is widely known by everyone. And what we have seen, which is prevalent also now, is that a lot of other countries around the world are actually advocating for Gaza, for an independent state in Gaza, as opposed to a two-state solution, which the DA and other, I would say, Western and imperialist countries are advocating for, going to show that the motives which the Democratic Alliance and Helen Zille also seek to perpetuate, or the narrative that they seek to perpetuate, is that which is of imperialism as opposed to that of independence, as well as an independent state in Gaza. So I think that, to answer your question as to whether it's going to hurt her going into the local government election next year, I think it might actually to a certain extent hurt her, because people do know what the stance of the DA is in regards to the entire Palestinian issue. You'll remember that in 2023, when the National Assembly voted for the closure of the Israeli embassy in South Africa, the DA was one of the parties that voted against that motion in parliament. So that alone actually went to exemplify the kind of stance that they have in regards to the Palestinian question. So I think that going into the election next year, it is something that may affect the DA, including some of their stances in domestic policy, such as their anti-NHI bill, the anti-land expropriation without compensation, even the issue of the Bella Act, which they have vehemently rejected. So I do believe that some of those things, some people may actually be very skeptical insofar as voting for the DA is concerned, as a result of their stance on certain domestic and geopolitical policies. However, it shouldn't go unsaid that at a local level, people tend to become a bit oblivious to some of these broader issues, and also just tend to focus on the delivery of services, which is something that Helen Zille also alluded to at the beginning of the interview that you and I are referring to now, that at a local government level, people only focus on water and sanitation that is efficient. People just want clean streets, and people just want proper road infrastructure, which are the things that the DA has managed to do well in, I would say, in the affluent suburbs of Cape Town, because some people tend to make the argument that it's only white people who vote for the DA in the Western Cape. But to be honest with you, some of us have relatives in Cape Town, and they actually tell us who they vote for, not because of the fact that they agree with their posture in terms of domestic policies or geopolitical policies, but because of how the DA delivers to them and how responsive they are to certain service delivery shortfalls or failures, as compared to, for instance, the ANC, which has been in government for over 30 years now. So I think that people could possibly be oblivious to some of the issues that you alluded to now, as a result of the fact that they are just too desperate for services. But I think for people like myself, for people like yourself and me, we may actually not be too oblivious because of how much we are awake to the realities that are facing the world and the country in a broader spectrum.
However, in closing then, Hlumelo, we do know that the DA have been running a very successful metro in the Western Cape. But the townships in the Western Cape are still suffering. They still have the same service delivery issues that we have here in Johannesburg. So, is it right to still laud the DA, knowing that the poorest of the poor are still living in ghettos? And shacks, and they don't have access to clean water, to housing, to education, to safety. We know that the townships and the shacks in the Western Cape are dens of absolute violence. Even the police don't go in there simply because they fear for their own lives. We also know that school children are killed by flying and stray bullets as well. So sending your child in the townships and in the Cape Flats, even sending your child to school on a daily basis is a huge risk.
Well, I always say that the story of Cape Town is actually a story of two tales. One that is very affluent and privileged, and one of a poor and underprivileged environment. Because, for instance, the highest rate of gang violence in South Africa are found in areas such as the Cape Flats, even Gugulethu, Nyanga, and all those townships, Khayelitsha. I mean, just last week we saw how many fatal shootings occurred in Cape Town as a result of some of these gang violence. We have seen how much taxi violence has also contributed to the high levels of violence. So I think that when you take these issues into cognizance, you actually come to realize that the DA is not in so far as like ensuring that there is equitable service delivery. There tends to be a shortfall in those areas, because also what I would like to mention is the fact that the people whom we have actually come to notice are supporting Helen Zille. Majority of the people who are supporting Helen Zille's mayoral candidacy in Johannesburg are the black middle class, who are also, by the way, very much oblivious to a lot of these things, and also tend to just focus on what works for them. Like I mentioned, that I do have relatives in Cape Town who always tell me that they support the DA, but not because they agree with them, but because they deliver for them. So someone who is in Khayelitsha and someone that stays in Goodwood in Cape Town may have two different experiences of the DA, because a couple of years ago we saw protesters going to the Cape Town airport, whereby they had their bucket toilets and spilling them all over the airport, which actually went to show that this is the truth. What is being depicted to us about Cape Town is not a true reflection of what is happening in that city. But like I mentioned to you just now, that I believe that it's the black middle class who actually believe that the DA is working for them as a result of the fact that they are exposed to the service delivery in the suburbs, etc. So I believe that might be the case in Johannesburg as well. And I do also think that opposition parties such as the EFF, the ANC, and Action SA even, because we heard Hlumelo Xaba saying that there won't be any equitable service delivery in Joburg should Helen Zille become the mayor. And the reference that they use obviously is Cape Town, which I also alluded to just now, is a story of two tales, whereby there's one underprivileged and affluent and one that is underprivileged and impoverished. So I do believe that also this is something that voters are going to pay close attention to, and something that opposition parties will use as a weapon to try and poke holes into the DA's campaign in Helen Zille's mayoral candidacy in Johannesburg.
Like the classics, The Tale of Two Cities, we know that certainly is playing out in the Western Cape. So obviously, we're going to be watching this race very, very closely. Lovely talking with you. Hlumelo Xaba, political analyst, talking about the race for the local elections here in Johannesburg. And of course, Helen Zille being possibly one of the stronger candidates as I see it. But be that is as it may, it's a wait and see game, but lovely talking with you. Go well. God bless.
Thank you.
It's 8:35 a.m. News and views on Salam Media. We'll go for an ad break, and then we'll be joined by our second guest. And that, of course, is Sheikh Dinala Chabulika talking to us about the elections in Malawi. So please do stay with us.